And you can bring the camera over here. Show them how this is packaged. And there it is, the LX600 12-inch. So, rather large. We'll open this box in a minute. DVD, instruction manual, a whole bunch of parts, the eyepiece. Get a good shot where all this stuff goes. That way, if there's something wrong, I'll know where to put it. Everything in that corner hole right there. Okay, over here. Oh, that's the finder scope. Here's the cables. It's packaged, look, well, it's bubble wrapped in plastic. And taped here to the side is another set of Allen wrenches in a small bag. And up at the top is the AutoStar 2 controller. We have an eyepiece holder and the 1.25" diagonal. The Meade standard, probably a Series 4000 or whatever. Okay, something pretty interesting, and I like it. They put this it's a piece of cardboard, or pressed board, very hard, 1/4 inch thick, that was over top of the front of the scope right here. So apparently, if anything hit the box hard, it's not going to come through into the OTA. So that's a good feature. I like that. So anyway, I got to get the book out now, figure out what I got to do to get this on the tripod, and we'll go through all the other pieces. But I want to take a break. Out of this piece to the side, this is for the X wedge, and it fastens on with two. Again, had 8x32 workmanship. We had to tap these with an 832 tap. So then once I did that, it went on really smooth. Just some crud was in there, and they must have painted after they tapped the holes and things like that. And you can see from some of these other threads, there's some gook down in them. I'm not even sure these are even used, but I think they probably are with the wedge. I don't know for sure. Haven't got that far yet. So anyway, next step coming up. Assembling the wedge onto the tripod. Again, threads are gunked up, gooked up, whatever you want to call it. So I'm tapping these holes, and yes, I'm going through the wedge opening, but there's plenty of room that you don't even touch the wedge. The wedge is still loose, by the way, just so we can get to these holes. So far, we've got the wedge on the tripod and the base on the wedge. We've had a few issues, though, I must say. Most of them have to do with shoddy workmanship. I found this inside one of the holes. It's a piece of silicon, right out of the end of a silicon tube, that was actually in the bottom of a hole. Would not allow the one of these bolts to go clear up into the base. This one set fine, these two set fine. This bolt, however, you can see it's much longer and it bottoms out. We don't know if this is just a guide bolt or if it's supposed to be tied up against there also. That's how the bolt came. It will not fit in the other two holes. So we're using it now just as a guide. Everything else is tight, and we're going to have to probably get another bolt for that if that's not the problem. As far as this bolt goes, the book doesn't say anything about it being a different size. It says there's 3 3/8" bolts, and that's all it says. So not really sure why we got a bolt that looks like that. Maybe it's supposed to be like that, I don't know. We took the OTA off because of the sheer weight of it, and believe me, it's pretty heavy. You definitely need 2 people to guide this bolt down into here. And even then, I wouldn't want to do it with the OTA on there. I'd want to take it off, I think, every time. Unless you had two people, one that can support it and the other one that can actually line this up and tighten everything up good. We haven't adjusted the anything on the wedge yet. Wedge went together pretty good, and now we're ready to bring the OTA out. We're going to try to get some more video before it gets dark. If not, we'll finish this on another night. Okay, I'm in my garage. This is the next day. Just want to walk around this and kind of let you see a good close-up of I guess of the fit and finish. To be honest with you, I'm not totally impressed. I think there could be much better workmanship. I'm not being picky. It's just that for the price you pay for one of these, you should have consistency across the board. If you look here, I don't know if this is zooming in right here or not, but let me see. Right in here, there's a little lip on this side, and then on this side it actually bows out a little bit. Not much. This is like a hard plastic on the inside. This is a cast, I would say aluminum fork. Also, I really don't like the face plates on these. Don't know why they didn't use like a nice stainless or something like that. The wedge is made really nice. However, we did have one issue yesterday evening. If you look in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. I don't know if my lighting's good, but you can see there's a little hole right there. What that was is where the indicator, there was an indicator for your adjustments here on your angle of your wedge. And as we were tightening this screw down here, this bolt, this flat piece of the washer, I added another washer right here. This flat piece of this washer actually came over and it turned, and it just sheared that little indicator right off. Why it did that, I have no idea. Poor design. I call it a poor design. If you look closely at you can see, of course this is cast, but it's they definitely didn't refine any of the finish here. It's basically a painted wedge, tripod. It is sturdy. Just giving you a good look here. As you can tell here also, see if I can zoom in on that. It's stuff like this that just doesn't set well with me when you pay $6,000 for a piece of equipment. See this side versus this side. Under here is where we had the issue with the bolt. Sorry for the shaky cam. It was this bolt right here. For some reason, we had two proper sized, and this one here was a good 5/8 longer than it should have been. So I went to Lowe's, got a new bolt. I double washered on that one. This hole here is the only hole that bottoms out. It actually goes up into the cast and it bottoms out. These other two go clear through, so you can take those bolts all the way in. Of course, this is where your OTA, this is where the forks come apart. You've got the little keyways here. I'm going to drop into there. on both sides. I want to talk a little bit about last night. We finally got it set up. We finally got somewhat polar aligned. It was pretty difficult. We were having trouble adjusting the wedge, where you have it pointing towards Polaris. The OTA is actually upside down, and on this axis right here. And what was happening is every time we would adjust the wedge, latitude, or whatever, and then you tighten the bolts, it would move it again. Just slightly, but enough to stay in the field of view, but it definitely wasn't center. So we ended up getting it really close, and it was quite a pain. But we got it done, and then we turned it on. It did its 1-star polar alignment. That was the default, and we let it go ahead and do that. Of course, we weren't doing any photography, just visual, so it was plenty close enough for visual. And one mistake we made the first time is we turned the scope on, and after we had it ready, and we told it to do its alignment, and forgot to tell it that it was in polar mode and not all azimuth mode. And therefore the scope did a really funky flip, and cables were going everywhere, so it was okay, there was no danger, but then we realized, hey, we didn't tell it to set the mount up for polar. So after we did that, got it on the 1-star polar alignment, that seemed to work fine. Then we put it through its paces with the star lock and all that kind of stuff. We slewed to a couple different things. Of course, we picked Saturn right off the bat. Saturn's very close right now, and so it slewed to Saturn and pretty much put Saturn right dead center, and it automatically used by default with the handheld the way it sets. It uses the high precision alignment routine. So what that does is it goes to a star near Saturn, and or sometimes it's some distance away, and it centers that with the star lock, and it does an auto centering routine, and then it tells you it's slewing to your object, which was Saturn, and it put it pretty much dead center. There's a routine in the book where you can line up your star lock. If you're not quite dead center, you can have it adjust the offset. So once it does a centering routine on the star, slews to your object. If it's not dead center, you can center it up, and then the next time you slew to another object, it will use that offset in its calculation. So it seemed to work well. Everything we went to pretty much was maybe not dead center. Like I said, we didn't have a perfect polar alignment, but it actually performed pretty well. We had a couple issues though with, like I said, the wedge. The wedge was the biggest pain getting it adjusted. Other than that, the scope actually performed well, much